Okay, everyone, good afternoon, y'all. A little bit practice. But we have a missing person here. Can you write please? Can you write please? Okay, while waiting for her, how was the BO part? What did I find the BO part? Interesting? Scary? Frightening? Enjoying? Funny? Yeah. Okay, BO part is funny, eh? That is true. That's what happens with my when I was very difficult to trace, very difficult to trace news, especially when we have too many areas.
The shower is private metered, 100%. The video private metered or direct?
You tell me? It has to be a natural person. Very key, it has to be a natural person. It cannot be a legal person. So it's very straightforward to do. But as long as 25% and above, we consider them as heroes. That's Vegana's deadline. Okay, so we have completed customer profile and onboarding. We have completed relationship SOF, SOW, beneficial owner, controller, and all that. So now let's go to screening, sanctions and PEPs and here. This is where you use your experience or whatever to do the comparison. You screen. Okay, let's go to screening. Okay, what is this screening of person claims? Politically exposed person. You actually look for, okay. Over here is screening, sanctions and PEPs area. So I want to go to PEPs first. PEPs means politically exposed person. A politically exposed person is defined as an individual who holds or has held a prominent public function either domestically or in foreign country. Very simple, that public position, not a private position, a public position. This country, state, whatever, hold a very top position. So that person is a politically exposed person. Example: heads of state and government, senior politicians, senior government officers, judicial or military officials. Right? So these people, judicial means people in the law, judges and all that. So these people have influence or decision making. Okay? Then senior executives of state-owned corporation, political party officials. So like Pakatan Harapan, who is the chairman, vice chairman, Barisan Nasional, who is the chairman, vice chairman. All these people are considered politically exposed person. He didn't say politician, huh? Did he say politicians? He didn't say politicians, he said politically exposed person. So it could be politicians, also include relatives and close associates. In short, we call it RCA. Relatives and close associates. So relatives and close associates of politicians are also politically exposed person. So relatives like spouse, parents, children, who have siblings and in-laws and whatever, whoever they are very close to them, politicians. Okay? And then close associates. So close associates, not necessarily relatives, but they are business partners, personal or professional relationships. Who was a close associate of Najib? It's the one MTV case. See, everybody knows. So is Jolo politically exposed person? politically exposed person. So I give you an example, you all understand, huh? Otherwise you don't understand. Huh? So I need to give you real examples. So that's what it is. So these people are exposed to politicians. So I didn't say politicians, so you don't take it as politicians, but these people are politically exposed people. Alright? So they are politicians, close RCA, relatives and close associates. Why is it important to identify fact? Because of their higher risk customers under the umbrella of new regulations. They are considered very high risk. If you go and look at Amra, whether locally anywhere or even FedEx, they are considered high risk. Let me ask you, why is it high risk? This one, your answer, I give you a few things. Because one is how much you will
Political party.
yeah.
Exposed to funding.
They can launder the money, okay? They can launder the money, yeah? Okay. Could be bribes. Could be bribes, okay? Could be bribes, okay? Why they are considered higher risk? Why politically exposed people are considered higher risk?
Exposed to funding.
What funding?
Because they have
Any
power over the
I feel like taking all this and giving it to him. Because it's quite close.
where they can make influence and change the law.
Anymore? Due to the position of influence they hold, which can make them more susceptible to corruption by bringing those power into because they have the power, influence, and authority to do anything they want. Right? That's exactly what happened to one MDB case where the funds went through so many places and then landed up with one of the banks, billions of dollars. Even Bank Negara didn't flag it out. There was a case going on, right? They say,
And then was no effect.
yeah, nobody flagged it out because of people with authority.
And then the person accused also in the daylight.
So all this, because of politically exposed people are powerful, they can do anything they want. So that's why when there are people, PEP, eat a merchant, as a directors or shareholders, you need to be extra careful and you consider them as a high risk merchant. Becomes a high risk merchant. Of course, you've got to do screening and all that. Because they become very high risk. So in your merchant onboarding, if there is a merchant who has a PEP inside it, surely that merchant establishment becomes a high risk merchant. That merchant is definitely a high risk merchant.
Right. False positive.
Sorry?
100% match.
Uh-huh.
It's a false positive.
I haven't gone to section. I haven't gone to screening yet.
Sama.
I just want to focus on topic by topic. So at least understanding is better. If I start jumping here, so to understand. Right? So this one is, like I mentioned, politicians, because of their power, authority and influence over anybody and everybody, they can do anything they want. And somehow on top of that, they have access to state funds, projects, everything. And throughout history, politicians have been the most corrupted people. I won't say here, there, or there, around the world. Okay? So what is screening now? Now I'm coming to that. What is screening? So once you know PEP and all that, so now you're going to do screening. When you get the documents, once you get the documents, complete documents, once you verify, identify that's a merchant, next thing you do is you do screening. You find out the BO, right? Correct. Then you find out who's the BO. After all, why you need to find out the BO? Because of you need to also screen the BO. You need to have the IC and all that to screen the BO. Okay? So all this now in your head. Next you do is screening. So what is screening? A process of comparing customer information against a relevant sanction list, politically exposed person database, negative list or whatever list you check, right? Another watch list to identify potential risks associated with the money laundering or terrorist activity. This involves performing name searches based on various permutations to accurately identify matches against such a list. What are the lists? These are some of the lists we are showing here. Not all the lists. So when you have the experience, apparently they actually will be able to pick up from here. But what I understand, they say most of it is local. Foreign we don't do. I got a shock when I said, Ma, how come? Okay. So in the bank we did Ramsey and done as a world check. You all know world check? World check will identify politically exposed persons, etc. You all had, isn't it?
Kita pakai equity. We use another software.
Ada?
We use another
What do you use?
Lexis.
Exist.
Lexis.
So you need to know what are the limitations of some of the third party reporting, those who report third party suppliers of this kind of information. Right? So you will know, then you need to go look for someone else to do it. Why this is very, very important? Because when I come to the next topic, you all know why it's so important. Okay? And coming to that gentleman's question just now, what is a positive match? Positive match? Positive match? That's why you need to do many permutations. You understand what is permutation, Pat? You understand what is permutation? In your case, you don't have individuals doing this thing, or is it the underwriters do that? Permutation. No, don't stop asking what is that. I see you. What is permutation, sir? Wow. X to B. You're teaching us something, so please share with us. Oh, you're not talking about something else. Right, she was talking about something tonight. Okay. What is permutations here? Anybody can answer me? I give you some strings. Sources.
Comparison, search the name, and then from the data we compare even the name is same, could be different person, and we check maybe the prior case or the problem will check and check that.
Okay. All right. I give you one small example. What is permutation?
Address.
Can you all see this? This is what permutation. It's very difficult, especially for Muslim names. You all know that? Muhammad can be M-O-H-D, M-U-H-D, M-U-H-A, M-A-D. I used to some. I always have very difficult doing permutation for Muslim names. When I say Muslim name, not really here, worldwide. Very difficult. So this was lagi for Chinese. John Ding Chong Yi. Tapi nama Chong Yi saja. Ada John. So this is what we call permutations. Name permutation. Because sometimes you want to check the name He. Then you do a permutation to see whether it's he or not. Right? Sometimes in certain places they call it Lin John. Some they call John Lin. Because in different countries sometimes they do it differently. My name is Vasudevan Ramachandran. They call me Ramachandran Vasudevan. That's my father's name. UK basically. Right? I have one certificate which I got it in 74, 73 for my typewriting. Ramachandran Vasudevan. My father said for the exam. Because that's how they do it. So that's the reason why we do permutation. Okay? So when you're doing screening for names, do that. But as time evolves, some of the system can do their own permutations. Right? So in UOB, that's what happened. Towards the last few years before I left, we just had to fill in as what is left and they will do the permutation for us. Because it's a system, actually it's a system too. Okay, then they will do it. So that's where you will know whether it's a positive match, negative match, So your question was, if it's a positive match, what do you do? Is it positive match is positive?
Negative kan? False positive is negative kan?
There's such thing as false negative and true negative, or false match or true match. Positive, true, positive, and false positive. So you need to find out which is it true positive or false positive. But you have to do the screening with this false positive. The name, everything correct. Huh? So when you call, when you check with the virtual and all that, oh, this one is not this person. So that's a false positive. Understand? If it's a match, do you call the virtual to find out whether that's a match? Or you assume it's right? Huh? Okay? It's a practice of the, it's actually a best practice now. What kind of best practice you have, it's up to you. You can have your own best practices. Okay? But of course, this is very, very important because if you don't do things like this, that person could be one of your merchants and actually a bank or sanctioned person or something else. And, okay? So this is the list. You check again. Okay. Hit sanction list, what you do? We hit sanction list, what you do? Because you're directly, you have a direct license to the bank. So the bank isn't a Visa, Mastercard acquires. I understand GHL has it. Right? So you don't deal with banks, but you are actually the principal. Because you are a principal, when you hit a sanction, somebody with a sanction list, you need to report to bank. Don't do that now. Not just a, some hit sanction when you throw it away. You go read the bank guideline, clearly states that submit a targeted financial sanction. Termination is by the match. Is it for identifying the match? Okay, where do you find this? You go look at this BNM policy document dated 5th February 2024. Appendix 8A, template for reporting upon determination of match, page 166. See, I've given you all this. Actually, I'm not supposed to give it to you. You all have to go search for it. But I'm giving to you all. Okay? So, because sanction is a very, very serious thing. Politically exposed person is not serious. Sanction, either person, company, product, it can be, sanction can be product also. Certain products, sanction cannot. So you all must know. So, sanction is what it is. So if you go look at your policy document, at this page you will know what the form will look like, how to fill up and send. Okay, case benar. Let's talk about case benar. So what case would this be? Because we do so much of PO, I'll just touch a PO now. Huh? Touch and go was actually fine. 600K. Why? Because they were ordered a sending sections. Bank account didn't find out. Bank account didn't find out. They reported later. Remember the report I told you? When 18th century they are supposed to report? So they reported later. And they cannot. They onboarded, after that they went and reported and all that, so they cannot. So onboarding is final. Huh? After that, when they see anything, you cannot do it. So whatever that you are doing, you must do it before onboarding. Onboarding means before putting it into the system. That's what we call onboarding, right? Of course, it's a journey now. Huh? The moment you key in all the data into the system, ready to and then deploy terminal smart or super, you're already considered onboarded. Not onboarding, it's already onboarded. So after that, anything found out, you cannot. Right? This was not reported anywhere. This I heard from BFM when they were interviewing him, touch and go with the boss, the CEO. So I would listen to all this now. So he was saying, yeah, bank account we will find out. It's not bank account. We reported. You have no choice, they're supposed to report what?
But this didn't take a few months.
No, last year.
Last year, right?
It's not new, huh? But last year. I'm just showing you examples that what can happen. Right? See, people like the place where I work, we are like a master merchant to some of the banks. So sometimes we are protected because the bank is there. Like GHL, you are just like the bank, you cannot. So it's very, very strict. They're very strict. Like master merchants, say we have a company is like a master merchant thing. We do that, goes to the bank also does the individual checking. Right? Individual checking and whatever. So the bank is responsible for us. Like IPA88 lah. IPA88 don't have license, right? You are tied up with banks to do that, right? So IPA88, like IPA88. So the same thing. You all are actually in a way shielded by the banks. But GHL has its own license, so company lah. But now is NTT data. Okay, lah? Yeah? So please take note. You think you can hide? Yes, you can hide. But if they find out, very bad. Very serious. It will be very serious. Okay. Usually they want you to come and just tell them yes, we did it. So I think that's the reason why it was only 600K. But Nafti was about 600K. If they catch you, there is a bigger amount now. Okay, this is essentially an insurance company. Generally, okay, my insurance is there. Property I covered here. They will fine 260,000 for onboarding one sanctioned person due to the delay in waiting time screening. Remember what I said? Before a merchant is onboarded, you must do whatever you need to do. So this one was delayed. After onboarding is done, they were caught. Okay? So the other one is negative media reporting. So when you do your screening, you're going to do checks everywhere, right? So the other place you've already done an Experian, you've already done politically exposed database, you already checked the sanction list, but you also check the media reports. So that's why I remember earlier I said my airline, if they have read the media reportings, they would have known that that person is actually charged for money laundering. Okay, so negative media reporting. So it refers to any adverse news or unfavorable public information about an individual, business or entity. So what are these typically published by credible media sources? Not blogs, not social media, not TikTok, not WhatsApp. But it could be also an information that's coming. You will use that to do a little bit more research. Okay? But these are the credible ones. Okay, it's coming out Business Star, Insider, LSP, Star, and foreign newspapers like, okay? Foreign newspapers and follow. So here you can see different news, some foreign news, Reuters, BBC, Forbes, and that. But what happens is some third-party reporting agencies like experience told me they don't do foreign tax accounting. I need to confirm with them. Like those days when we were doing in the World Check and all that. World Check is actually international country, so they actually have all this. Because you will never know who has been charged for money laundering in another country. Okay? So if it's a PEP and it's a BO and it's a company that you are dealing with, a physical company, it could be in that country and this person is involved, you know what to do. They are high risk, preferably don't report them. Right? Because it otherwise goes back and up this country. Yeah? Okay, I don't want to go into news again, but this is basically why I told you about foreigners. Remember the foreign media and all that. So if you want to find out, okay, over here, who is the PO? You will know this person is already a PO, right? Okay? So how do you verify the identity? Foreigner. I'm sure you get merchants with one or two foreigners, and that person could be also a PO. So how do you actually verify these people?
Passport. Passport.
Okay, like in Singapore, we actually buy from them, right? But what if it's from, say, UK, US, or probably Panama? So we buy from them. Too expensive. Really? Too expensive. It's good if we can buy. It's really a big merchant worth it. Yes, I think it's good to buy. But as long as you use the media and do your research and everything and follow, use your best effort basis to do research to find out the background of this person. And as long as you have documented everything completely, you're still covered. Okay? And that should be actually in your policy document. If it's not the policy document, it is as and when it comes in, you decide on your own, and cannot. The policy document properly spells out this. That coming to foreign districts where it's unable to give all this, you can actually use this to verify and we will assess whether it's okay to do them. Then you need to look at your policy documents. Okay? Some of the countries, the people coming from certain countries and all that, they are very clear in our policy document if you want to do them. So you need to actually mention all that in your policy document. Okay? Otherwise, it's very difficult for underwriters and all these merchant risk people or fraud people to know. They cannot work on a guess game. Okay? So I just wanted to show you an example in Florida because I just touched on the foreign companies. Okay, let's recap what we have gone through all this while on the chart, on the flow chart we just went through. Let's recap before we move on to the next part. Okay, we have now selected the merchant and we also know whether it's a high risk or low risk business based on all those factors we use, profiling, screening, who's the PO, quality exposure, we have done all the CDD, right? Based on that, we have now can risk rank the merchant, whether it's a low risk or high risk business. whether there's a politically exposed person, and if this politically exposed person, whether it's a local or foreign. Local, sikit, okay. Foreign, pet, susah. So it's higher risk. Okay. Then high risk. Okay, what is this? These are countries with high risk, very poor, anti-money laundering guidelines or policies or whatever. They are very, very poor. Okay, so these are the countries which are high risk. So if you go to FedEx or other agencies and all that, you will be able to find out which country are with the high risk jurisdiction. So even if you go to Nigeria, check. Example like South Korea. Okay. Okay, you also properly identified the UTO. Okay, you already identified who is the ultimate beneficiary. Then you also found out funds in the wealth. Okay, then you also see whether that particular company has any sanctioned person or person, country, organization, or those products. Okay, then you also want to know the supplies, buys, sections, HRC. So high risk is also based on where they trade. Our government also sections certain countries that. So we cannot buy from them, cannot sell to them. We cannot sell, we cannot buy. So it's sanctioned locally. Some are foreign sanctions, and these sanctions are come from US, UK, European Union, or locally Singapore, Canada, Malaysia, all that. So you go there, you will be able to see which country, what maybe it's a product, maybe it's a service. Okay, in conclusion, now your merchant is properly identified. End result should be this. The end result of the CDD should be this. Your merchant is properly identified, merchant relationship established. So you know whether it's online, offline, liquor dealer, and auto debit apa-apa, so already established that. Right? And based on CDD, merchant structure is low, medium, and high risk merchants. You all actually, what is it? High risk, low risk, medium risk, and low risk, right? So this is for basically for risk management people to cover. Okay, so that covers the whole chart. So you can see we have properly identified the customer. We have accepted the customer's relationship as he is an online merchant, offline merchant, auto debit, whatever, that's a relationship. And we have structured the KYC file properly. What is this structured the KYC file properly? Either low, medium, or high merchant. So we have already done all that. So if you look at all these, it actually guides you along properly for the end result when the customer is accepted. So you will not go wrong. So all this will be good if you can actually have a checklist. Every individual box you see here, you have a checklist. Don't base on your memory, susah. You know, they tend to forget about that. So in my place, so I've created checklists for them. So it's easier. And if you also say, oh, okay, well, we are down here. Because sometimes I also forget, human being, we forget. So only when we check with the checklist, oh, this one, yeah, we have to do. It can be 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, 30 years of experience, still you can forget. Let me tell you. Still you can forget. Still you can overlook. Okay?
You don't follow this checklist, this diagram. You know, someone can implement, then come up with like what? Also say, come up with a checklist, every step checklist, then
If you have a compliance team, the
yeah,
compliance
very
team.
good.
But your compliance team may not know what
It's bank negara, you know, must follow.
merchant onboarding compliance team may not know. I was lucky because I was always the merchant acquiring side. So I do merchant acquiring compliance. So when this company brought 800 they wanted to get Bangalore license, they called me and I was able to do the whole works for them. So if you're compliant, doesn't mean you know all this, huh? You don't know, isn't it? If you're compliant, it doesn't mean you know all this. You may know the policies, you know the act and all that. But coming to virtual onboarding is a different ball game altogether. I can always tell. So that's why the compliance always call me, hey Vasu, you need to do a policy on virtual onboarding, this. So I prepare all the policies. If you have seen all those documentation from virtual acquiring, you see my name only. If you are in UOB.
So which part is the most difficult? 1, 2, 3, 4. Which part?
Just like Paul asked, over here, which part would have been difficult for you to do it?
Yeah, most difficult.
Everybody will tell you this.
Yeah.
So now that I've given you the 3 steps, huh, you can't run away now. Tapi you must know how to calculate this. Right? So it's good to have a policy document to cover all this. Then I think you are very safe. Okay, this is not done by me, yes. Let me tell you, this is not done by me. This is not like this is International Compliance Association. Because I did my money AMLA thing there with AICD. You all know AICD? Formerly was IBBM. No. It's a bank association. AICD is Asian Institute of Chartered Bankers. Right? All the banks are members of AICD. Okay? When I asked them, I need to do this because Bangalore requires us to do. They advised me to do either AICD or the London one. So I looked at it and I said, I can't do the London one. Because it covers a lot more things, so I didn't do it. Okay, so and I found out they had all this. So that's what I use for easy explanation. Of course, it's in my mind, I can do and all that. But this has been done so well. So I use this one. Nothing has been missed out. Okay? It's okay, huh? Alright, let's have some activities now. I think it's getting a little bit boring. We listen to the lecture. Let's have some activities. There are 4 questions here, or 4 activities here. Power Ranger, take number 4. Risk Ranger, take number 3. Scammer, number 2. Bitcoin, number 1. So this is the time. So now I think okay, I give you 15 minutes to come on with the respective answers. After that, come to the front and then present it. Of course, Paul will be taking down notes, he will be storing your. At the end of the day, whoever makes it will be able to get prizes. So it's good to have a leader. Select your own leaders now. You don't want to waste time afterwards when somebody is coming up here. Your table still comes up. Right? Okay? Okay, 15 minutes from now. All related to except for the one is you. Bio will get no risk.
Every soft power
You all have copy and give me no point, huh? You all must use your own word, right? Come up there, sometimes you need to explain. Otherwise, I give you the notes, you copy from there, right? Okay?
So far, Luis Ranger is leading. Luis Ranger, you have a big hand.
Don't be because of the extra resource. This Ranger is do more.
Pak, masih kerja sikit ah.
More powerful politicians. Many of things. So some places they call it, sometimes they call it kings, sometimes they call it, this country is sometimes king and all that. Like in UK, what do you call? So head of state.
Orang kenal lah, senang.
Money laundering. You can say that any sort of
If all of you are finished earlier, please let me know so we can start early. No, when I say all the tables must finish. Not one table then all tables must be finished. If all tables finish, then say finish, then we start. Otherwise, it's maximum 15 minutes adjust.
Tadi tu lah kalau dia ada kalau dia government link company kalau dia ada kalau dia biasa kan company macam mana saya cakap apa
Yesterday my turn. I'm the first one to kena baru. Jangan baca dulu. This is more. You understand? Sebab dia ni just let the fight that sebab dia ni Honestly, my
RCE, tawalah tadi. Kadang-kadang buat dia pun puas. Boleh lah kawin dengan politician. Apa yang nak? Kalau situation ni sebenarnya boleh jodoh ada dan sebab bosan lah bagi jodoh tu. Sebenarnya ada selain daripada jodoh. RCA. Oh yelah, betul lah Isha kat sekarang. Tidak ada relationship sekali. Sampai bawa sama-sama. Selain jodoh, relationship business partner. Ada yang ada yang nak case lagi. Apa orang latest? You punya ni. Yayasan kedai ada orang lain. You boleh? Try lah. Tapi tak ingat nama. Kes yang tak political bawah. Tu political yang parti.
Payment of due, how is it? Okay, good, so ready to go. Okay, all the tables are completed, very good. Now, let's see who come out first. I'm okay if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, or whatever number is okay. Who wants to go out first? Top, okay? Table number. All request, right now. What steps you should take in order to effectively mitigate such a politically exposed person risk?
Alright, I'm Alif, so I'm gonna answer question number 4. So the steps need to be taken to mitigate PEP risk lah. So the first step is before onboarding the merchant lah, we do the name screening lah. We use all the possible database, all the lists, sanction lists, BNM lists, all the available lists. Or maybe if one day we can get the access to WorldCheck, it's easier lah. So I've used WorldCheck previously. And then if the PEP with his to match with the local PEP, maybe the risk lower. But you still need to check lah. Maybe if we can check in the media reporting, maybe got prior case or what, or even if the PEP is from foreign country, we need to check lah. If maybe kena sanction before or what. And then we also can use other alternative, check in Mastercard Match, we have access to that. And then Visa Merchant Screening Services, VMMS. And then also, if as underwriters, you got this kind of application, maybe if you are PEP and then you are not very sure, maybe you can get the approval from senior management in order to notify them that we are onboarding this, up to them whether want to approve or reject. And then if let's say we receive an application from PEP and then we check the PEP got prior case, maybe kena sanction before, it's our responsible also to report to targeted financial sanctions one. Report to maybe and also to Bank Negara also. Right.
Okay, that's very good. We covered everything, right? Okay, the part where you say senior management approval is basically due to enhanced due diligence. You need to do enhanced due diligence, right? So what step is prior management approval, senior management approval. Of course, you need to do the other part. Okay, that's very good. Let's go on to system now. Okay. Scammer.
jauh.
Basically, okay. Next, Emma, which part, which?
Because later got another question also.
Give examples of different types of facts. Oh, okay.
Very straightforward.
Quite straightforward, huh? Let's see.
One of it, head of state, for example, MB or PM Anwar. Second is senior politician, can be current politician or previous politician. And next, judicial or military official can be high court judges or ketua police. And senior government officer, for example, ketua SU, ketua Setiausaha. And senior entities of state-owned corp can be MARA, KWSP, PND or TH, political appointed. And next can be political party official like the secretary, ketua cabang dia itu. And next, relative and close associates, RCA, spouses, parents, children, in-laws, business partner.
Okay, good. Okay, when I say different types of pets, I'm talking about foreign pet, domestic pet, RCA, international pets. And in that pets, you can give examples. So what Scandal Sleep was, they gave example for mostly local, and they also touch on RCA. There was no answer on international, and international PEPs as well as foreign PEPs. Okay, please understand, when you talk about PEPs, it's not only local, different types of PEPs. Okay, now who's ready? Which team is ready now? Which table? Okay, table number.
Menteri.
Bitcoin, kan? Okay, Bitcoin.
Yes.
What Bitcoin is saying? Bitcoin is number one, kan? Okay, why identify a view is important? Very simple.
They allow for proper development and delivery. Second is increased transparency, which may prevent money laundering and financial terrorism. Help uncover legal risk, ensure compliance with law and press delivery.
Okay. Why identifying a view is so important? Because you want to know who is the controlling the business. And if once you know who is the other party is controlling the business, you want to know whether they are in the negative ways, PEP or sanctions. So this will actually tell us whether the merchant is a high risk or low risk. Okay, so that is the reason why we need to find out who's the people. Okay, now we have one more. Who is now? Who's Ranger? Oh, okay. Last question.
What are risks?
Oh, okay. What should be facts?
With PEPs. So the risk could be like corruption risk. So example, a PEP may use their position to benefit themselves, or use it for political and personal gain. Then it could also lead to corruption, like bribery, for example. And also it could be involved in money laundering. They could use financial institutions because they have the political clout, right? They can use it to launder illicit funds. Those funds can be gained from their corrupt practices. And then also one thing is sanctions. These people who are PEPs, they could be under the sanctions list, and if we do not decline these PEPs and we do not report them to the DNF, then our institutions could be subjected to fines.
Quite good. Okay, I think we have completed the part. Is there any questions that you want to talk about, ask about the journey of CDP before I go to the next part? Next topic. What is that? I'll try to answer.
If China, usually from 100 hits, many hits.
Many hits.
Same.
Same name, common name.
That's why I say communication is so important and verification is important. Very common because their names are so, everybody carries the same, almost the same name. So when you go take up the list, sometimes it reaches up. I've gone through all that. Sometimes the person who, the name you have there, may not fall into any one of them. So you need to verify it. Okay? That's the reason why sometimes we use date of birth and place of birth. You all know that, isn't it? You all know that? Excuse me. You don't ask questions and you're not listening. So if the names all the same, what are the other two, what are two factors you use to verify whether it's correct or not? No, talking. I said you find out date of birth, right? You use date of birth to verify. Sometimes you also find out date of place of birth. These are some of the factors you use to verify, right? None of this available, cannot verify, so ask it. So now you need to make a decision. You will go back to the process. The moment you cannot verify, it becomes a very high risk merchant. You must understand this. The moment you cannot verify all the documentation, you cannot verify, that merchant becomes a very high risk merchant. So you need to do close monitoring, enhance due diligence. Got to let the management know all the sources, all the names the same, everything the same. You cannot really match. Okay? Otherwise, you have to do the full list. You need to check on this screen, this central list. You got to check on this. You got to check on this. You got to check all the sources one by one. But unfortunately, all the names are the same. They don't provide you with IC numbers or passport numbers, date of birth, place of birth. So not that. So then you need to consider if you want to onboard them, take it as enhanced high risk merchant. Unless you can verify, oh, this person is actually local, all this China. Okay, yeah. No, we're trying to do something. Why? Any more questions? Any more questions? Yeah, this table, there's something here. Yeah, this one is with the date of birth, country, and then you do a few calculations. Characters, also you can check. You can use any commutation technology to check the name, and you can use other details, sometimes you see, sometimes you say China, so you need to see this person is actually Malaysian, definitely not China. This person is Malaysian. Okay, if it's a Chinese character or whatever, you always go back to the person who is an expert in translation. You always go back to the professional or expert in translation. Not go to another staff who is a Chinese staff and explain it. That's a very good point was raised. If sometimes we get documents which are not local, it can be any countries. Example like China, it can even be other countries. They have their own characters, their own translation. So you must bring back to your people, professionals, to translate for you. In our company, in our bank, what I do is I send it to the translator and we pay them to translate. We pay them to translate. Not within the bank, because the bank no expertise, so we have to send out they are translators, expert translators, so we take that and translate. So if they translate it wrongly, you have to go back to them. We have proof to say that these are actually professional translators. We have in our database how many, which are the companies who are translators, they translate for us. Yeah.
But if it's just a simple thing like names and all that, if you have like Chinese reading people, right, in our on our site, then we can also do the translation.
Up to you.
If it's
Yeah.
like it's longer things like, then it makes sense to have translators.
So there is somebody who has done Mandarin and all that, they can read. But of course, what I'm saying here is you must protect, no matter what you do, you must protect yourself.
Yes.
That's a key, huh? If you trust that person, go ahead.
Which are system best for PEP?
Sorry?
Which system is best for PEP?
Very, very difficult to tell you which is the best. We normally do experience checking, that's all we do. We can't
But
subscribe
experience is
to
then to have only within Malaysia only local.
We'll check now. We'll check is let me say, I won't say best, another alternative. We'll check now. But those are all very expensive. Those are very expensive. We'll check out, they're very expensive. So, you all have to decide. They have international. Okay, so oh yeah.
So you use the translator to translate other than names, what else do you translate?
Even documents, agreements, even the, what you call the register of companies one, yeah. Incorporated somewhere else. They give us that. We don't know what it's written there. We send it to the translator to translate.
For example, if you see French, then
Correct, yes. Because sometimes when you recruit, especially I have this problem because I recruited insurance companies and MNCs. So basically they are all over the world. So they come and give me documents because there are many layers. So they give me documents like that, I don't even know, I can't read. So send it to the translators to translate. Professional translators. But of course there are documents cannot be translated at all. Because there are no translators to translate that. So it's a risk to take, or you want to take job. Anything else? Good. You're asking questions.
For us, suppose you say family member has to be removed.
Actually, it's very difficult to say.
Yeah.
Even though, do you know drivers are also close associates? You know the driver for politicians are sometimes are considered close associates because they share with them, they're also bodyguards for them. You know that? You know? So sometimes it's very difficult to say, but if they are like that, drivers, bodyguards, we take them as close to things. Because it's not properly defined. It's not properly defined. It's very easy to define relatives. But close associates you saw. So there was a question raised, there was something to do with politically exposed person. So I put it at what MTV and I said the close associate is Jolo. I substantiated that close associated with the media reporting. Because media reported this person is a close associate Jolo. Otherwise you don't know who's Jolo. It's going to look probably the Jolo. So why did you say Jolo? So I got a substantiate with media reporting. And I have to put the reference down and say this is reported in the newspapers and this is written down as
I think why maybe the mastermind is Doro father.
So
Yeah, the government already says the father asset.
So in the media report, his name never come out. So it's difficult to say.
Correct.
This is all then it
By
becomes
Doro father, the asset being which by government, right?
so
Last
it's
year only.
somewhat like if it is freeze, then it will be reported.
Yeah, last year reported.
Uh,
Doro father,
so,
asset office.
So if it's reported, then he also becomes part of the whole thing. If it's not reported, it's only hearsay or speculation, susah substantiate. But it's reported, black and white, somewhere, you can take that, show them. That has been reported. Right?
But its close associate can be reflected from World Check.
From where?
This close associate reflected from World Check report.
World check.
RDP.
Susah. But that is like politicians, unless they are affected somehow with a politician, then they may mention it. Otherwise, just out of the blues, they don't have it. Oh, this person is close associate and this person, they don't.
But they
So-
have relatives lah. Yeah, it's listed as RCA.
Relatives,
In
quite
World Check,
easy,
yeah.
but close associate and close difficult. So it's basically you should go to reading papers, news, all must be easy.
Banyak orang baca news.
If you already talk about RCA, close associate, my neighbor also can be close associate. Correct. People will bring back little with me also close associate. So it becomes a very long. So sometimes it's good to look at that. Okay? Done? Then we go to the next part. Transaction monitoring. So remember I mentioned that after onboarding the merchant, the next part is the onboarding has not stopped. The onboarding still continues. You need to monitor the transaction. Of course, these are all required and properly mentioned in the policy document. So you can see from this report, the APEC Identity Fraud Report 2024, fraud doesn't stop at onboarding. I didn't say that, the report says that. I subscribe to a lot of other reports, so I spend my time reading all this. So I'm sharing all this with you, okay? You see the one highlighted? Crucial to implement robust ongoing monitoring system to detect suspicious behavior in real time. Okay? Transaction monitoring. So fraud doesn't stop at onboarding. It continues after onboarding also. Okay? Transaction monitoring is a process of continuously reviewing a customer's transactions against the merchant's profile. So now you know why the profile is so important when you did the profiling. So if you know the profile of the merchant, example, a restaurant which does ticket size is 150 ringgit. Anybody, averagely is 150 ringgit.